We are here on Etowah's campus with head coach Ryan Locke, who had a very successful first year. First year as a head coach, actually, right? And made it to the Final Fours. It's easy for you, Coach. Come pretty easy, I know. You just kind of dusted it off, and it happened.
Nothing comes easy in this business.
What did you learn? For you being the first time at the helm and having that much success? I know you kept everything even keel. You and I talk all the time, but what did you learn from that last season overall?
A lot of things. I didn't know near as much as I thought I knew going into it. Mainly the tedious little things that you never see on the practice field, that you never see on the game field. All of a sudden, I'm the guy who's responsible for that stuff, making sure that players' eligibility is certified, making sure that practice schedules are done and completed, making sure that everybody is accounted for during practice, making sure that the laundry is done, everything's done. You have to make sure you delegate a lot of things among your coaching staff, and we have an outstanding coaching staff here. But at the end of the day, the buck stops with you, and that's until you've been in that position, you truly don't understand.
What was the biggest surprise for you from coming from the coordinator from all different levels like you have to taking over something that you was like, man, I never knew that this was like this?
I wouldn't say there was really a surprise. It was more or less just the tedious day-to-day stuff that you had to sort through and make sure that you accounted for. Making sure that the biggest thing coming out of COVID and coming out of an off season where we didn't get to have spring practice, so you're automatically late getting started with your summer workouts and your summer install. Making sure that we had players certified eligibly. Our eligibility was certified going into the first game. There were a couple of players we even held out in the first game against Gaston City because they weren't certified to be eligible. And we certainly weren't going to play them if they weren't eligible. So, just little things like that we had to do to make sure that things were where they were supposed to be.
Right. Now, last year, you guys made a tremendous deep run, the deepest run Etowah's had in years. The whole city of Etowah come back alive. I mean, they're always at games, but it went to another level as that playoff run continued to go, and it was at a feverish pace by the end of the playoffs. But during that time, what point in the season last year did something click and you guys just really started getting it, what you guys were coaching, and the players started taking it in and putting it out on the field?
I would say we had a big click after the Gaston City game. We didn't play very well in that game. We had some things that worked against us. We had a new starting quarterback who hadn't played at all since middle school. And to be honest with you, we needed a little bit of a wake-up call. I think a lot of us thought that we were a little bit better than what we thought we were at that time. We needed a little bit of a wake-up call. I think we got that at the Gaston City game. We were fortunate we had a week after that we were able to go ahead and make some corrections, make some changes, simplify some things for the quarterback. And, we played a lot cleaner game, I thought, against Etowah. And then as the season went on, you could tell things got a little better and a little better. And even though we lost the game against Fort Payne, I thought that was, at that point in the year, the best overall performance for us offensively. And I thought our defense played really well up until probably the last quarter. In that game, I thought it was a great effort by our kids, not the outcome that we wanted by any means, but a great effort by our kids. And then the Good Hope game was really where you could start seeing the light clicking for a lot of our kids, and the performance all started coming together.
During that playoff run, I mean, something clicked with Trace, and he started playing at another level.
He did.
And I know he's going to take that momentum over into the spring and summer, but talk about his development so far.
Well, he definitely, you could see his confidence growing as the year went on. From the beginning of the season, I don't think he really was very confident in himself to be able to make some of the plays that we were asking him to make. We were able to simplify a lot of things early on, and then as the year went on, we could build a little bit and a little bit on top of what we had already installed. What he needed to understand, especially early last year, was he didn't have to be a guy that was going to make a lot of plays. He had to be a manager, a game manager. We had a running back who's committed to Duke. We had two outstanding wide receivers, and Nana Davis and Ollie Finch, and of course Trent was in the backfield. He needed to be a distributor of the ball. He needed to make sure that he just got the ball and executed the play the way it was supposed to be done. Get the ball in the hands of your playmakers and let them go make the plays. As the playoffs got going, you could see him starting to take a little more ownership and accountability and making sure that plays stayed alive. We were able to put in a few more concepts that I think helped us a little bit, and he was able to read them out. And at the end of the day, he needed to just understand how to be a manager of the game. And now that I think he's gotten that point, I think we can build on that a little bit, and certainly get to where we can go through some progression routes and some more drop back concepts.
Yeah, because he goes. I mean, like you said, kudos to him for taking on the job with only like a couple of weeks of practice.
2 weeks.
2 weeks of practice.
2 weeks. We had a quarterback competition that started in July, and of course that carried on into the first really week of August, and so really he only had 2 weeks to prepare for Gaston City.
Man, hadn't played a position since middle school.
And that was a tough situation to be in. That was a tough situation to go into that game, and of course everybody in this community and in Gadsden, that's a big, big game. And Gadsden is a very athletic football team. They were a very, very athletic football team, and we didn't help Trace very much in that game in terms of we missed a lot of routes, we missed a lot of assignments, we didn't block very well. Defensively, we got in the hole early on. Defense actually played pretty well in the second half, but by that time we were in such a hole, and we didn't do anything offensively in that game. So it was just kind of a perfect storm scenario for us. But we were able to learn from it. Kudos to Trace for being able to step back and take some accountability, but also to the whole team for understanding that one game, we weren't going to let it define our season. We were going to continue to play. We were going to continue to get better. And at the end of the day, I felt, even after the Gaston City game, that we had a chance to be a really good football team. Just based off of the athleticism that we had in certain positions and the fact that, these kids, they're not used to losing. So they responded the way that we hoped they would respond, and the season ended up being pretty good.
Hey, to come in with 2 weeks of practice, coming into this spring and these summer workouts, his confidence level had to be 10,000-fold.
Yeah, it is. It is. You can tell he's a lot more confident in what he's doing. He understands the speed of the game so much better than what he did to begin with. The speed of the game this time last year was at a whole nother level for him from what he was used to. And so now he understands the speed of the game. He's gotten a lot more confident in understanding route concepts and understanding where to go with the ball, understanding how defenses can align. But, he's still got some work to do, and that goes for our whole program right now. We still got some work to do.
And you aforementioned, you had that many weapons on offense graduate this year and go to college. Along with Toby Kemp, you got like 4 D1 guys right there gone. I know you don't replace those guys, but what are some of the guys you look to step up in some of those positions?
Well, first thing you look at is the running back role. That's the number one thing that everybody's looking at around here, and we've got some possibilities, and we've got Briggs Freeman, Caleb Freeman, John Mostella. All 3 of those guys got a good many reps this spring at it. You have some other people who Josh Hendricks carried the ball a couple times last year, and he'll probably be asked to go back and do some as well. The skill spots outside, you have Omarion Finch, Ollie's brother. Ollie Finch of signed with Troy. Omarion really stepped up and made great strides this offseason, along with Stephen Jones, who was had a great basketball season. Looking to help us out both offensively and defensively in the secondary. Michael Bostick I thought had a really good spring and was able to make a few key plays in the spring game, and really is kind of taking on that role as a possession type receiver. Those are some important factors. Toby Camp, really not much ability to replace him, but we have Jacob Sanford, who's made great strides. We have Bennett Nance, who's working really hard in the weight room and has played significant reps on both offense and defense for 2 years now. The same can be said with Jalen Billingsley. We returned four guys that started at one point last year on our offensive line. So we have 3 other guys that I would not hesitate to put in the game right now, whether it be Chris Gooden, Nick Barron, Dylan Horton. Those 3 are going to have to play for us at some point in time this year, both offensively and defensively. And in the secondary, some of the same names I mentioned offensively are going to have to flip over and help us a little bit defensively. Marion Finch is going to have to help us at corner. Stephen Jones is going to have to help us at corner. We're going to have to have some help in the secondary with Michael Bostick, maybe rotating him a little bit at safety, because Andrew Pierce and Jarvis Hardwick are also going to help us out at wideout as well. So, we're in a position where a lot of our kids are playing both ways, and we really need some younger kids to step up and help develop a little bit of depth so that we can rest some of those guys and not have to play in both ways all the time.
Now, up front defensively, you guys are returning significant
outside of Toby and Trevor Gladden at the linebacker spot. Right. We have a lot.
That is 2 dudes. Don't get me wrong.
Those are 2 All-State players.
Yeah.
But we have some really good players who've played a lot of football. Up front, you have Jacob Sanford, Perry Byers, Jalen Billingsley, and Bennett Nance. Those 4 right there, along with a linebacking core of Caleb Freeman and Tyler Dobbs, and then Andrew Pierce is also playing a little bit for us at kind of our bandit position. Andrew and John Mostella. John Mostella is playing a little bit out there. So our front 7 is pretty good when those guys are on the field. The problem is they got to flop over and play offense too, a lot for us. So we have to develop a little bit of depth right there. We've got to develop a little bit of depth so that those guys can be a little more fresh when the fourth quarter comes around in games.
What did you learn about this squad, these new guys that came in? I know you got a lot of familiar faces, but when you got your hands on these guys this spring, which we didn't have last year because of COVID, but now that you've had your hands on these guys for spring, what did you learn from this group of guys moving forward?
We're not going to be as explosive as we've been in years past. I mean, you lose the speed of a Nana Davis or the explosive abilities of an Ollie Finch, or certainly that of Trent Davis, or Ethan Foster. Ethan Foster was a little stick of dynamite as well.
Signed a scholarship too.
Yeah, he did. You're not going to be able to necessarily replace all of those guys, but the one thing that I have seen about this team is there's a great desire to be good.
Yep.
But not just be good, but be great. They want to be great. They understand the history and the tradition that's here at Etowah High School, and they want to be that next group to come along and add on to the great legacy and tradition. So we'll see if they're able to do that. The work ethic has been really good so far. I was really pleased with how spring practice went. We got 8 practices in, and then a 9th day, which was the spring game against Lincoln. I thought we competed really well in that. I thought our coaches did a great job of working with our kids during spring practice and developing the kids that we have. We went into spring basically with the idea that we were going to develop depth at every position. We weren't going to focus so much on scheme. As a matter of fact, we only put in 1 running scheme. Actually, I should say 2. It goes right and it goes left, and that was it. So the offensive line and the backs got a lot of work on that. We didn't put in a lot of routes. We wanted to get better at the little things of how to run routes, how to block, what the correct path that running back should have to take. And then defensively, we want to get line. We want to run to the football. We want to run the football, and obviously this is a cliche, but we won't have bad intentions when we get there.
Oh, yeah,
so,
absolutely.
that's kind of the whole focus point of this spring, was figuring out some people that can play, and then building on that and try to build a little depth.
Now that you've seen some game film from the Lincoln game, and you've seen some guys in some different situations, what are you mainly looking on this summer? I know obviously the workouts is going to be first and foremost, but what are you looking to do this summer to help this football team heading into fall camp?
Well, we still want to develop our passing game a little bit. We want to be able to have a few more route concepts that we think can help us. Defensively, again, we're still looking to try to find some answers, particularly at the corner position right now, and still trying to develop some depth. And to really be honest with you, those are answers that won't be answered necessarily by Gaston City. Maybe 2 or 3 weeks into the season before we have true answers to those. But the main thing is the kids are working right now. They're working hard to try to prepare for an upcoming season that, quite frankly, at Etowah, there's always expectations that come with this this program. And it really doesn't matter who's playing and who's left. And the people in Etowah expect to win. They expect to have a strong program, and we're going to work to try to put that product on the field for them.
You could be playing the Green Bay Packers opening week. They're going to be
there's going to be high expectations. And to be honest with you, I think our kids relish the opportunity to go and compete. So
Absolutely.
we actually have a game that we were able to schedule late and add to our to actually make it a full 10-game season. Last year we only played 9 games, but it's a little bit of a unique game because it's out of state against a quality opponent in Lipscomb Academy in Nashville, Tennessee, that was a state runner-up. So, I think our kids relish the opportunity to go and play different people and to play different programs and try to make themselves better.
That's where the Elite 11 quarterback camp was at their high school this last weekend, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Okay.
I believe so. Yeah.
That's awesome.
The head coach is Trent Duffer. So
yeah,
I think he heads up a lot of that.
He
stuff.
heads up the Elite 11, the National Elite 11.
Yes.
Now, last year you actually picked up Sweetwater, which I thought was it's a tricky game, and they had some dudes, but it was a good game.
It was unique how that worked out because Dora, because of the COVID situation that happened, they ended up having to forfeit the game against us, and I believe another game. And so, with that being said, our program, we at that point in time, we had only had 3 home games. We had not had a senior night, so we were in a little bit of a pickle. We wanted to get a game, but we also had to get a home game to be able to recognize the seniors that we had in senior night. And there was only one team that I could find that was willing to come up here and play us, and that was Sweetwater.
They got 10 state championships,
and they've got every bit of history and tradition that you want to talk about. My wife is actually from down in that area, and I've actually gone and seen them play a couple of times in the playoffs, and they're a tradition-rich program in their own right, and they have a lot of pride, and they're a very classy community. I was talking with our administration after the game, and they were very complimentary about how their fans picked up all the trash and threw it away after the game. So, little things like that let you know what a class program Sweetwater is. And they came in here and they gave us every bit of competition that we wanted. They fought hard, and it really helped us, I thought, getting ready for a playoff run because seeing a team like Sweetwater, who does have some really quality athletes, running the style of offense that they play, the wing T offense. And I think that helped us a little bit get ready for games against Handley and Haleyville, and also Northside, because they weren't the identical offense, but they were similar enough that our kids were able to make some adjustments to be able to play those type of teams. Physical, hard-nosed, misdirection type of offense that our kids really needed to be prepared for to play in the playoffs. And Sweetwater gave us a good look at that.
Yeah, I thought that was an excellent pickup for you there. Now, Coach, like we talked about, the summer's very important. What does a normal week look like for you guys heading into the summer for maybe some of the parents or fans around town that don't know what you guys' regiment is each and every week here during the summer?
During the summer, during June, we bring them in 3 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And We have a lifting segment and we have a conditioning segment. And we'll try to get some field time in, but the main emphasis in June are building strength and building conditioning to make sure that when July comes around, it's a little more football oriented. We're still lifting, we're still conditioning, but we're also having some abbreviated practices to try to make sure that we have a little bit of a jump start on going in August. We can do a few more team segments and all that type of stuff. Here in July, we'll expand from 3 days to 4 days. We'll go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And we'll try to also have some 7-on-7 competitions in there as well to make sure that our wide receivers can work on routes, our DBs can work on covering, our quarterbacks can get a little more game-like situations. Not necessarily true game because you don't have a pass rush in a 7-on-7 situation, but you have more game-like situations.
Absolutely. And then heading over into fall, what days do you guys officially get your hands on fall?
August 2nd. We'll start our August camp, and we'll have really 3 weeks before, well, 2 weeks of practice, and then a game week against Gaston City on August 20th.
Man, it's going to be exciting times, Coach.
Yeah,
I know the expectations hadn't been this high in years and years like they are now.
Well, we're excited about the upcoming season. I'm excited about this group. It'll be a different group than what we had last year. A lot of the same faces, but a different team. And each year and each team brings its own unique challenges and unique situations that you have to work through. And I think that's part of the great thing of athletics is there's always some type of challenge and obstacle that you have to learn to overcome. And how you approach that and how you handle that and how you respond to those is going to be a big you're going to have a lot to say with how the outcome of the season goes, and for a life lesson that can correlate to how are you going to handle difficult situations in life. And so I hope our kids are able to take some things from this program and be able to adapt them to their personal lives and how they're going to handle difficult situations in their own lives.
That makes a lot of sense, Coach. Coach, looking forward to getting with you guys. We're going to do a preseason show with you guys when it gets a lot closer to the season. But before then, good luck with the summer workouts, and appreciate you sitting in with us.
Well, thank y'all for coming by. Appreciate it.
Thank you.